When a marriage crumbles, does it have to be horrible and horribly expensive? Not according to the couple you're about to meet. In fact, they don't see the point of getting divorced at all when they can just act divorced. They say they're one big happy family under one roof while dating on the side. Are they really onto something? Here's ABC's Aditi Roy.
In front of all their friends and their 10-year-old son, this couple is holding a ceremony.
Let's begin with our rings.
Renewing their vows? Not exactly.
These rings do not symbolize who we are to each other anymore.
So we're releasing them.
Clark and Valerie first exchanged these rings 14 years ago. But today, in a New Age ritual you might only find in San Francisco, they're handing them back over and uncoupling.
1, 2, 3.
They no longer consider each other husband and wife, but they've decided to continue living together in the same house in order to raise Jonah.
Is there any sense of mourning or loss doing this?
No, it's actually exciting. We grieved a lot of our relationship so long ago.
But as we all know, that isn't the way it usually works.
I want a divorce.
Even in movies like Crazy Stupid Love,
I slept with someone.
divorce often gets ugly.
If you keep talking, I'm going to get out of the car.
I think the fact that I did it, it just shows how broken we are. How much we really have.
No wonder in real life, actress Gwyneth Paltrow and Coldplay frontman Chris Martin decided to consciously uncouple earlier this year. But is there really a way to break up without animosity? Clark and Valerie Tate think there is.
That was awesome.
But it did require an unconventional approach.
We started talking about the possibility of dating other people.
Your wife comes to you and says, I want to date other people. What goes through your mind?
I remember hearing it, initially being shocked, and then being like, well, that sounds interesting to me too.
So this is Clark's room.
It is.
They agreed to continue living together and maintain joint assets.
And this is your room.
This is my room.
Their relationship wasn't always like this.
What was your wedding like?
It was magical.
It was Valerie's first time walking down the aisle. It was Clark's third. And for the first few years, they were living on love.
At what point did things start to change?
So I was grieving the loss of my father, who I was very close to. I also had some depression around that. And with all that, I started to withdraw.
Jonah, hi.
Clark and Valerie's young marriage was failing, but there was one solution that was never on the table for them.
Why not just part ways? Go through a divorce like so many couples do.
I had been through that road before. I knew that wasn't exactly what I wanted.
So even a separation wasn't even on the table?
No.
We weren't considering really changing the structure of our family unit.
That family unit centered around Jonah, who they were determined to protect from their relationship failings.
You have friends whose parents are divorced. What is that like for your friends?
Well, they're really sad most of the times, and they are sometimes gloomy when I come over to their houses.
How would it make you feel if your parents got a divorce?
It would make me really sad, but if they got a divorce and we're still friends, it would be fine.
Children feel like they're the center of the universe. They don't understand necessarily what's happening, but they feel like it may be something they did wrong.
The toll of divorce on a family is not just emotional, it is also financial.
My rate is $950 an hour.
Couples pay an average of $50,000 to resolve contested divorces. That, according to the documentary Divorce Corp.
I'm not saying I'm worth $700 an hour, but that's what I charge.
The Tates decided not to go that expensive and potentially acrimonious route. Instead, they've been experimenting with an open marriage. For the last few months, Valerie has been in a serious relationship.
Hi. Hi. Welcome.
With a man named Joseph. While it might seem weird in most households for a wife to bring over her boyfriend, let alone have a boyfriend, Clark and Valerie have worked out unwritten rules for dating.
What's going on? You know, just getting ready for this dinner tonight, that's all.
Do you have sleepovers with other people here?
Well, we give each other private time. Maybe Jonah and Clark are out of the house or vice versa. But most of it is private time is spent elsewhere.
How are you?
Good.
And the most important rule, they are only allowed to introduce serious partners to their son.
You've met your mom's boyfriend, or if your dad is dating someone. And what's that like for you?
It's fine.
What did you score in your last tournament?
It's been pretty seamless having Clark and Joseph and Jonah and I hang out. They like each other, so I feel really fortunate in that way.
Tonight, Valerie, Clark, and Joseph are all meeting up for dinner together. Longtime friends have watched the Tates struggle to get to this point in their relationship. But to an outsider, there is still the potential for awkward moments.
For couples who have an open relationship, both partners have to totally agree to it. If one person feels like the other one is pushing them into that situation, it won't work.
You guys both grew up in traditional families. Is it tough for them to accept a whole different way to be married?
Absolutely, because they wanted us to put it in one box or another, like most people. You know, well, are you going to get a divorce or are you going to stay together? It's still very difficult for them to grasp.
Clark admits that it's been hard to describe his non-traditional marriage to potential dates.
They don't understand how I can still be close with Val and close with them.
While he says getting married a fourth time isn't in the cards for him, Valerie doesn't rule it out for herself. But for now, the Tates are still legally married to one another.
What's the toughest part about this whole arrangement?
Well, I think that we're through the tough stuff, which was questioning, jealousy, and insecurity.
What are we doing? Yeah, the unknowns.
They say they've figured out a way to be happy as a family, and even though they've officially uncoupled, a legal divorce is not on the horizon, at least for now. For Nightline, I'm Aditi Roy in San Francisco.